Hi, I'm Donna Davis. I am here with Richard Cole of Cole's Wild Bird. He is live and in person today on this exciting day.
Absolutely. Every day is exciting.
Nice to see you, but we've got some big news today.
We do.
Tell us about the big news.
What big news?
You know, we've been leading up to this moment.
The calendar.
Right.
The calendar. Everybody knows, we talked about the calendar. Occasionally, you all send in your pictures. We go through a judging process to create a beautiful, beautiful calendar.
I'm so excited about this one.
We've been doing this for a couple of years now, and it's a very popular item. And the pictures just get better and better every year. And it's sent in by our customers, our friends.
And that's the best part of it. We love to be able to see all your pictures. We want to thank everybody who submitted one. We're also going to talk about fall slowdown, right?
Fall slowdown, what happened, where did my birds go? This time of year we get lots of questions about, I put some new seed out and I don't have birds anymore. It must have run them off. But no, it's a fall slowdown. It's natural this time of year. It happens everywhere.
Lots of spiders to eat right now.
Lots of spiders, tasty spiders. And the birds, I was just talking earlier, I don't even have any squirrels in my yard right now.
Really?
And I don't know if that's a bad thing, but I like my squirrels, but they're out foraging for nuts, and there's a large nut crop this year. It's bountiful out there. You get the fall harvest is in for the animals, so they're not coming around the feeders near as much. So
I have to tell you something so funny. So we have one feeder on our back porch. Most of them are in the yard, but we have one right off of our back deck. And we love that feeder because we get a chance to, sorry, I'm looking at the computer, but we get a chance to see the birds up close and personal. But the downside is squirrels they are the most athletic little creatures ever. And they bend all the way out and they're getting the food and the sunflower meats and they just eat it up. So I chase them away all the time. For the first time, I got your hot feed. It's a mixture of different seeds and it's hot. The squirrel comes up to the feeder, eats a little bit, just leaves, has not come back.
Yes. Yeah,
it's amazing. It works. It so works.
The Cole's hot products are very popular and very effective. And we've had those out for quite a while. We led the industry into that direction. And the hot sauce we put on there is so hot, even squirrels don't like to eat it.
Yeah, he hasn't been back. I would chase him off and they would come back like 5 minutes later. Yeah. Okay, so I know everybody is anxiously waiting our calendar pick. So do you want to go ahead and get to it?
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do. And you can ask your questions anytime. Look at this stunning picture.
We could say there's the cover girl, but we don't know whether that's the cover girl or a cover guy. Take your pick.
That is true.
But there's a chickadee. Everybody likes chickadees, and they're good feeder birds. They're reliable. They come in a lot, so that's one of our favorite birds right there.
And
it's a good picture.
Yes, what an honor to be on this cover because there was some stiff competition, and we want to congratulate Berlin Pullen for this amazing and beautiful picture. It's just stunning.
Yes. Way to go.
Yeah.
No, I love the flowers, too.
Look at this. I love the angry little bluebird.
Yes. That's always, bluebird, they're so nice, and then they look like that. They look like they're just mad. And I love that one with a pose in the snow. And these guys are around and bring a little color during the wintertime. Male eastern bluebird.
Yeah, you can't beat bluebird in the snow, and that is absolutely gorgeous. And we want to thank Linda Robbins for that beautiful picture. And I love this one.
That's an interesting bird, and a lot of people will look at that if you're normally feeding your backyard birds. And you look at that and it's like, what is that? Oh, is that a chickadee? No, it's not a chickadee. Well, it looks kind of funny. It doesn't look quite right. And that's a member of the flycatcher family. It's a group of birds that spend a lot of time hawking insects. They'll sit on a limb, run out and grab a bug and come back in. And that one right there is the eastern phoebe. And it's part of that flycatcher family. They're fairly small birds, kind of rounded. But if you look at the brownish head right at the back of it, it's got that little tuft sticking out. Kind of like a tufted titmouse, but not nearly as raised. But the flycatcher family, most of them have that little distinctive item on their thing. But this one is just one of the flycatchers that's fairly nondescript. Cute little bird.
It is so cute. And that picture is just beautiful. And that's sent to us by Christy Eisen. So congratulations, Christy. Look at that little mouth open. You can't beat that. That's so cute.
Everybody's friend, the tufted titmouse. And those birds, talking about feeder birds, that's one of our favorite feeder birds because there's a lot of them, and they love to come to feeders. And a little side note on these birds, there was a study done probably about 15, 20 years ago. Somebody did a fairly scientific study about how smart some of these birds were. And the titmouse won. And they had little things where they had to work little twigs and move stuff to get the food. And the titmouse won the contest every time. So they deemed it one of the smartest birds.
Well, who knew? And it's got its tongue sticking out at you.
Yeah.
And congratulations to Kimberly Fowler for that beautiful picture.
And of course, bluebirds, you know, they take the prize a lot of times because everybody loves bluebirds. I think Cardinals also. And that there's a little young one getting fed. And,
yeah, I love this. Tells the story of spring. You can so tell why this was picked for April. And I actually do think that there's no other better way to portray the seasons than with the birds, through the birds. Isn't that beautiful?
As you move through the seasons, you'll see the differences in the birds, and you'll see the differences in their behaviors.
Yeah.
And, eastern bluebird. And there's several bluebirds in the country. That's the eastern bluebird.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And that's sent to us by Kenny Fay. So congratulations, Kenny. Yeah. And now you're always going to see a cardinal.
Northern Cardinal. I mean, that bird is ubiquitous around the United States and the eastern area. And it's interestingly, that's a beautiful picture, by the way, not to get away from the picture.
Oh, absolutely.
The male cardinal
Stunning.
is great. But they're called Northern Cardinals, not because they're up in the northern United States, because they're actually in North America.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And there were 50, 70 years ago, there weren't too many cardinals in the northern United States.
Oh.
They have moved up into there. Now they're seeing more and more way on up in the northern states, where it used to be just mostly in the southeast. But it's called the Northern Cardinal because it's in North America.
Yeah, and, we attract a lot of them with safflower. They love safflower. It's a great food. Also, the squirrels don't eat it, and we want to congratulate Jenny Shaw for that.
Yeah, and the safflower was called cardinal food a long time ago because people found out that they tend to like safflower. And a lot of the other birds do also. But Coles sells safflower seed because it has a lot of great qualities. One of them, the cardinals love it. And two, most blackbirds do not like it.
Yes. Starlings, they're
matter.
not eating it.
No.
And so you can save it for your cardinals. And you can see that big beak. They have that really strong beak so they can pop it open, no problem.
They're well designed to crack hard seeds. Yes.
Yeah. And thank you, Jenny, for that beautiful picture. And next, just beautiful goldfinch.
There's the American Goldfinch. What a bird. I mean, just so pretty, so yellow with a contrasting yellow and black. And that's the male. It's not always that pretty. It does change. It molts into these colors for breeding season. They breed somewhat late. They will go down into July and August. But then they'll lose that color again, and they'll look more like the females, which are typically almost that color, but very toned down. So beautiful bird, American Goldfinch.
And shot by Kathy Tudor. Kathy, thank you so much for that beautiful picture.
Rose-breasted grosbeak.
Talk about a big beak.
Talk about the grosbeak. And they do have a big beak. And that's a beautiful bird.
Yeah, it is.
That bird was, first time I ever went on a bird walk, that was one of the birds I saw that I'd never seen before.
Really?
I don't know why I'd never seen one before.
And it's stunning when you see it,
right? And I saw that bird and said, what is that?
Yeah.
It really caught my attention. So I'll never forget my first pretty bird, unusual bird, was that one right there. And if you ever get a close-up look at one, if it raises its wing, you'll see it's actually got red under the armpit.
Oh.
It almost looks like it's bleeding under the arms. It's very interesting.
And this is shot
bird.
by Pam Dillon, and what a great close-up. I mean, she either has a great telephoto lens or just the ability. And one of the photographers one time told me, like, she just blends in with her background, and that's how she gets those close photos. But that is gorgeous. I feel like you can see what he's thinking.
And I like the head turn so you can actually see the gross beak.
Absolutely. Great picture. And this is August, and what better way to tell the story of August than a hummingbird? Yep. And this is just beautiful, mid-flight.
Yeah, those are hard to take pictures of.
I bet, yeah.
But that's a nice male ruby-throated hummingbird. And I will mention again, but keep your feeders out in the wintertime, no matter where you are. And you might see a bird in the wintertime. If you do, you report it to somebody. We'll talk about that more a little bit later.
Right.
Some of these guys are here in the winter.
That's right.
Most of them moved to Central America, but some of them are here.
You keep your feeders out always. Yeah. And I love the contrast of the colors, and what a beautiful photograph done by Sherry Rosen. I just love that pink against the green and everything. And thank you so much for the picture, Sherry. Now let's go to September. This is really different. I love that this represents a different part of the country than what we usually see.
Yes, and the bird is nice. So is the cactus. It's just, like you said, it's very different. And in September, when things are starting to cool down, it's nice to see a warmer area. But that's the flicker. And there's a couple of varieties in the United States. This one will nest in cactus. Obviously, this is out in the West. And that's a great bird. It's a woodpecker. And they have an interesting behavior in the East. I'm not sure about the ones in the West. But they will do bill waving and waving at each other as a ceremony, like bowerbirds and things do something for mating.
Yeah.
These guys will sit there and they'll sword fight with their bills, but in play and then freeze their motion, and then start again and freeze their motion. It's very rare, but you might get a chance to see them if you're interested in flickers and have some around.
Yeah, that would be a great thing to see. Thank you so much to Brandy Doolittle for sending in this one and for making our calendar. That is so pretty. And, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful.
That's another one of the birds. You got to love robins.
Yeah.
And mainly because there's so many of them that come and they go, so you see some migration abilities in them. And sometimes we're like, where are they? And all of a sudden there's a bunch of them moving through. But they're just nice birds. And everybody gets a chance to see robins, and they're always out in the yard picking up insects.
And it's such a beautiful way to show fall, because I always think of seeing the robins in the fall. And this was shot by Karen Theodore, and thank you so much for this. But yeah, it's always like a sign of fall when you see the robins. They're probably around all the time, but for some reason we just notice them more. Maybe that beautiful, orange chest.
And that one's about ready to take a bath, I believe.
I believe it is. Yeah. You always talk about if you want to attract birds, you got to have water, and they like that flowing water. So great thing to learn from that as well. November, this one just reminds me a little bit of Christmas. Yeah. Christmas is coming.
Isn't that a pretty bird?
Oh,
and that's
absolutely
something a lot of people would notice as you're really watching for birds. You might not see this one. It's a warbler. Most of the warblers don't eat a lot of seeds. They'll go back and forth some. This one's just one of the pretty warblers that you may not see very often. So it's great to be able to get one captured in there and put it on our calendar. And,
thank you to Ron Foltz for that one.
Cape May warbler.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, you gotta love a cardinal in the snow for Christmas time or the holidays just in general. But that is so cute. I love how they fluff up a little to make in the wintertime, I guess, to stay
a little warmer. Yeah. They puff up their little coats, and they seem to do quite well here in the wintertime. But that's a pretty bird. It's a pretty scene, and like I said, very appropriate for December.
Yeah, it is, and we thank John Hayward for this beautiful picture. And you get an extra month with this calendar.
Of course.
So you don't just get 12 months, you get 13. Yeah, there's a bonus here. Yeah. Oh, boy. This represents, the coldest time of the year in January.
Yeah, she doesn't look that happy about it. But that's such a nice shot, because it is. That's a cold weather shot. The snow's coming down. That's the female cardinal. You don't get a lot of pictures of female cardinals. They're a little more drab, but it's still a good-looking bird and a great-looking shot.
You know what? I think they're so cute. And before I started feeding birds and all of that, I always thought that the male cardinal was more beautiful. Yeah. But I think the female cardinal is. And if we could take a look at it one more time, I just want to be able to give Donna Santangelo credit while you're still seeing pictures of her birds.
There you go.
Of her bird.
Yeah.
But it
nice
is
picture.
Just absolutely gorgeous. We want to say thank you so much to everyone. This has been such a fun thing. And I think calendars are even more fun and more valued now that we all have these online calendars. I still love to see something up on the wall. How about you? Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love these calendars. I use them around the house. Of course, I have to use mine, but I like them. And that's why we want to have a good calendar so everybody else can enjoy these birds that all of our customers are seeing and catching in their backyard and sending in pictures.
Yeah, and we thank you so much for that. This is going to be such a great calendar. We do want to remind people, we had so many great submissions. All of our semifinalists, the pictures are just gorgeous. So at the end of the show, we're not only going to show you a video showing all of the winners that got into the calendar, we're also going to show you all of those semifinalists in a video. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, ask your questions, and Richard's going to talk to you about why maybe you're seeing fewer birds right now at your feeders.
Yeah, this is, you hear me talk about it occasionally, fall slowdown is what I call it. And it's just a time of year where birds have so much natural food, they just don't need to come to your feeder as often. We tend to think that they're living on our feeder and that's all they do. They spend their whole life there, but actually instead of just one bird, there's 4 or 5 that look pretty much alike. They're all coming in and out to your feeder. But this time of year, we run into this thing where there's just so much food available. Fall has just started in. All the weeds out there have ripe seeds. All the berry-producing trees have ripe berries, and the birds have a lot of natural food available. And they will take advantage of that while it's out there. There's also a lot of insects available because they've been growing and multiplying all summer long, all during the warm months. And now just because it's a little cool doesn't mean they're gone. They're out there to be eaten by the birds, and they take advantage of that also. So there's plenty for them to eat out there, so they back away. Don't worry and think that maybe you put some new seed out and it's not any good or something's wrong or the birds all died. They're just having a good time foraging on the land while it's out there. That'll slowly change as we get into the colder months. But keep plenty of good food out there for them. They'll need it soon.
It's a nice break to me because they're not just literally eating up your food as soon as you can put it out there. So you get to enjoy it just a little bit longer.
And, it's a good time while it's a slack period in their feeding. Make sure your feeders are good and clean. Think about anything you want to add a feeder, replace a feeder, reposition a feeder. Great time to do it.
Are there any particular birds that you would say you can expect to see them more at feeders as opposed to like just the total slowdown?
It seems like it's just across the board. I will see, in my particular case, it changes depending on where you are regionally and everything, the weather and how much is grown during the summer and fall. But this is probably the strongest slowdown I have had in maybe 5 or 10 years. I'll see a bird or two in the morning. Most of the day, I'll look out and I will not see a bird. And that's highly unusual.
Especially at your house.
Yes. And when I do, it's a titmouse, it's a chickadee, it's a cardinal. It's a standard, feeder birds that you see most of the time. But it's just onesie-twosies. And then I'm looking for the squirrels. I like to feed the squirrels. They don't get on my feeders because they don't like the hot meats and things like that. But I don't see squirrels coming by very often. I put out some food and it'll just sit there. They've got a lot of nuts to eat.
Yeah, and that's great. But we do want to remind people that as winter comes, go ahead and stock up because they're going to need it.
Yeah, and as winter comes, and it'll be here really soon, just make sure you don't have to really change the feeds you're using, but be aware that they can use more fatty nutrition foods. Suet. I like to make sure I put extra suet out in the wintertime because that's a very good high energy treat for the birds. Sunflower meats is a great food. It's a fat-rich food and therefore higher energy for the birds. They love that. Sunflower seed in the shell is okay, but my favorite are sun meats and suet.
Yeah.
And I use the hot meats, of course. And they like those. It's good high energy for them in the wintertime. And other than that, you don't have to shift a lot of what you're feeding. But as long as you have that and substitute with a lot of good suet.
Yeah. So great advice. And also, keep that food out for the hummers, right?
Absolutely.
You keep it out all winter long, don't you?
Absolutely. We fought a lot of, in the earlier days of finding out that there's a lot of birds here in the wintertime, we fought a lot of myths and legends about the birds aren't here in the wintertime, or if you put your feeder out, if it's there, they'll stay here and they'll die in the wintertime. They won't migrate. All that's just not right. And they will migrate because that's what they do. and they have to have food on the way. So, but if there's some bird here that isn't normally here in the wintertime, and there are birds here, some of the western species end up coming to the east as opposed to going south, and we pick up a few birds every year in the state that we don't see that are spending the winter here in the southern states, and some of them in the northeastern states. And so keep your hummingbird feeder out, and you may see a hummingbird. It's very easy to keep out in the wintertime. Not a lot of trouble. You don't have to change the fluid very often because it's cold. And but if you see a hummingbird between, say, mid-November and early March, then report it to your local Audubon or your local bird store and let them know that you're seeing a bird coming. Try to get a picture of it.
Yeah.
You may have a rare bird, one of the western species, showing up to spend the winter with you.
I know. Yeah, that would be fun, wouldn't it, to host one that rarely does. I will tell you that I've tried putting my feeders out, and I don't see much action, but maybe I just don't have them up long enough, or maybe change out the nectar, enough.
Well, in the summertime, that's, you need to change it very often because it's hot outside and you're going to get a lot of birds, hopefully. Sometimes some locations don't get a lot of hummingbirds, but in the wintertime, are you likely to see one? No, you're not. There's very few birds that show up in the wintertime, but we consider them rare birds, rare reports. We think of them a little bit more common now because we've been looking for 20 years for these occurrences where they show up in Georgia where we are and around in the southeast. But yeah, keep your feeders out and just report birds. Are you likely to see one? No. I've been fortunate. I've had, I believe, 3, but that's over a 20-year span.
Oh, okay.
3 hummingbirds.
Yeah, and they also might come during times when we're not out there because I do think, you'll see them, and I learned this from you, don't look at them. And it is so true. They do not want you to look at them. So they'll come, they'll look at us, and they'll make an assessment like, am I going to put up with these people or am I going to leave? And A, you don't look at them, but B, I think they're especially hungry in the summer, so they'll put up with us. But if they are coming to those feeders, they're probably just saying, wait till those people go inside.
And once they get used to you, it's a lot better. But if you're close by and you start paying attention to them, they'll be a little shy about it.
I love that. You just don't look at them. They're like, don't look at me. But it makes sense that what you say about that. By the way, one of our most popular videos that we've ever done, Richard told people how to get a hummingbird to land on your finger. And people love that. And they've tried it, and it works, and they're so excited about it. So
it just takes patience. Just takes patience and not looking at them.
Absolutely, no looking.
Until they get used to you.
Are yours used to you enough that you can look at them when they land?
Yeah. Once they get used to coming to you and sitting on your finger, and when they say don't look at them, I'll have my head just slightly turned, and I'll have it there. I'm looking at them, but I'm not directly focusing on them. They watch for your eyes. A lot of birds will do that to see which way you're going. Yeah. And if you're looking right at them, it's a little spooky for them. As long as you look off to the side, like you're not paying attention to them, and just start low, and you slowly get them in close. And once they get used to you, that you're not going to bother them, they'll come right up and sit, and you can talk to them and everything. It's not a problem.
We've got to get video of that with you.
It's an interesting process. I think I've done it before, maybe like 15, 20 minutes to get the first one. Once you get it used to coming, it'll come back.
That's amazing. Yeah. And Richard's also told me this, that his birds are so familiar with him that when they're hungry and they see you coming, they all start.
Yeah. That's another thing we're talking about. We're talking about feeding birds too. It's good to not only make sure your feeders are full, but consistently have food in them.
Yes.
Maybe you only half fill them. As long as when the birds come by, there's something there. They don't want to make a trip to the grocery store that's empty all the time.
Right. Why would they?
They quit coming by.
Right.
But once there's consistency there and there's food out there most of the time, they'll be steady customers, and you'll see them more.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I wanted to bring up one more thing before we leave everyone and show them the videos. Just so special recently on Apple TV Plus about the year the Earth changed. And it's all about how COVID changed nature. Yeah. It is fantastic, but one of the best parts was they showed these little birds that part of their, their mating call, their call to like, hey, I'm here to each other. wasn't being heard over the traffic noise in San Francisco. And so when the traffic all cleared out, their numbers came back incredibly.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Noise pollution.
Yeah, it's huge. I had never thought about how that affects birds and their mating.
Yep. If they can't hear the calls, the territories, it really messes with them.
Yeah.
They can't do it the way they're supposed to.
Yeah, it was so amazing. I highly recommend it. And I will tell you, too, that there was more demand for Cole's, I think, than ever. A huge demand for Cole's videos and a return to nature. And I think nature gave so many people the solace they needed to help through such a tough time.
Yeah. And I want to thank everybody out there, especially all the new customers and all who started using Coles. We appreciate it, and we're glad you like the products, and we'll keep doing a good job.
Yeah, absolutely. We do, if there's not anything else that you want to say, we want to go ahead and leave people with the videos of all of the birds.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Hello, this is Richard Cole. I want to thank each of you for watching, and I want you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to share it.